Good morning, everyone. Having a little camera problems this morning, so I was already recording and boom. But it's a real pleasure to be with you. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and help all I can with all your problems and things like that, and maybe help turn your head toward the God state. This planet is so interesting right now. This level, the dream of God, and how materialistic this is when you look at the other worlds, how energetic and expansive and nirvanic and blissful, and how really tough this world is. This is the lowest that creation manifests. And creation in this physical world, keeps on going. But these other worlds are even bigger. But it's just such a warring world down here. It's just so hard in every way. And boy, right now you all got to be on your guard. And I mean, this letter that we got today here on YouTube, really sad, Sean. I don't know what to say. I have to say that and I've said this before, and I know some of you maybe jump on me for this, but you got to get out of your minds. And I said that for a lot of reasons. And one reason is too many people are playing with it. And you've got to get out of there because people are going crazy. And this case here where the man and wife visited their cousin or something, and then their relative went nuts and stabbed and killed the wife and stabbed the husband here, that's just sad stuff. And I think you just have to be aware that you're on a warring planet right now. And I think the false security, the government lies to people and makes them feel like, and America's real bad at that, making you have a false sense of security while ripping you off at the same time. I mean, it's just really bad, and there is no security anywhere. And talking about the meteors, and how that meteor came into Russia. And then NASA had a meeting the other day and was just trying to figure out how we can, protect the Earth from that. But they've already had this discussion over and over for years. And one of the big guys came out, and the news media was interviewing him, and they were saying, well, what can we do? And he said, pray. And that's the bottom line. We're looking for total security. There's only one total security here, and that's yourself. And that's beyond the physical world self, not the human body self. This thing can be killed, chopped up, stabbed, shot, who knows, it's just a material body. So religions have to stop playing such a dramatic role in the physical side because they're supposed to represent the God or spiritual side. But they're heavy into the physical side. And it showed how the negative forces are pulling on religions as well. And just how their attentions. So you can't go back. I think this new Pope, and I really love the new Pope from the humility standpoint. I'll say this because that's just what people have to understand is humility and love and for the poor. I've said this before, none of the presidential candidates mention the poor. Maybe Romney once, but poor. I mean, this is where the suffering is. Everybody's talking middle class, upper class crap like that. And it's just, it's a sad thing that we have here. So you're seeing a lot more love, and I think it shows you the indication between all you YouTubers. I know a lot of you are spiritually opening and awakening, and your love is growing, and your humility and ability to help others. And this is just, you were sent here. A lot of you were sent here to help us do this now, and we're all working together to do it. And it's not just about health. It's what that gives off. And I don't want to touch too much on that for our video on love, but you'll be surprised what love really, really is. So it's real important for one to become strong within the self beyond the physical world for survival purposes, because there is no security. You can't run and hide anywhere. It's just too bad, and this is just a good example of this. So, Sean, all I can tell you is that this man must be fed fruits, berries, and melons. Now you can give him a green drink a day if you want, but do the fruits, berries, and melons, because in what you're saying here is a lot of neurological damage. And the neurological side of the body requires fruits, berries, and melons. The vegetables are not good enough for this man to rebuild the nervous system. So the question is, should we go down and pick up heavier amino acids and minerals? Would that be healthy and rebuild tissue? Or do we go into the higher levels of energetics where the neurological conditions are? And I'll say that I've seen all types of regeneration of tissue with the fruits, berries, and melons, even though they don't have the heavier amino acids, let's say, that the vegetables do, and the minerals. You just see a greater regeneration. So I say at this man's level, I think fruits, berries, and melons are really key. With that said, I'd add the bones formula. I would go detox this man just like you were going to detox someone that has serious acidosis and they have tumors and things like this, or arthritis, things like this. I would go treat him the same way, except you're going to rebuild tissue. But again, all that trauma with the knife and all that, that's all creating further acidosis. Destruction of cells creates further acidosis. Anytime you break down proteins or tissue, acidosis. And that's just what's going on. So this man, of course, the whole thing of this guy has to have no adrenals left. I mean, this poor soul. Jesus criminy. It's just sad stuff. Ugh. It reminds me of The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis, and the female that played the god manifested physically. And when she was viewing all the Hitler and all the destruction and the bombs and what we did to Japan and all that, and then just started crying. But I'll tell you the truth, this is all in the body of God. This is creation. And creation is but a dream. Unfortunately, when your consciousness is locked in the physical body, it is as real as it gets, because your consciousness is what's real. The place you're at and what you're identifying with is not. This is transient. This world can be blown away at a breath of God. So that's the thing. You're the only secure element here. Sad stories, though, abound there, and it's just too bad that creation in some areas can't run itself better. But not for me to say. It's enough to say, though, that upper circulation, brain and nerve are key. You probably would use 2 circulation formulas, lower and upper. The value of the circulation formulas is that it aggressively moves blood more. And with the upper circulation, we've seen new vascular pathways created with this, and that's exciting. So it's neat to see that you can bring more oxygen and goodies up into these tissues with the upper circulation or lower circulation formulas. With that said, then, guess who has to clean up all the mess from all these stab wounds and stuff? The lymphatic system. And then he's laying sedentary, so he doesn't have any activity to move. This is why it's so essential for him to be on the fruits, berries, and melons at this time, because he doesn't have a lot of mobility. And when you don't have mobility to help move lymph or even blood back up, then you really need to use the astringent-rich foods. And astringents help to clean and move things, and that's why all these formulas, prickly ash, and why I have a little pepper and little things in here to help move things. So, or fluids. So that's the key to this. Again, he's got a feeding tube, so everything has to be juiced, obviously, and up the feeding tube. Don't be afraid of that. Get the herbs in there. The capsules, take them out. Take the capsule out. Mix it in. And insert with a syringe, I'm sure you're already doing that. So this is what you have to do. We have a lot of people with feeding tubes, and don't let that stop you. I would say, since you were talking about how he isn't digesting well, that's why the fruits, berries, and melons. No Ensure, none of that crap like that, or this man might not come out of this. So you really want to get to the living, the powerful, that which is full of flavonoids, that which is full of chemistry and magnetics, and that's your fruits, berries, and melons. And I would definitely hit this young man here pretty good in that manner. Herbal-wise, you definitely want to hit the kidneys. You want to hit the lymphatic system. That'll keep him cleaning while he's repairing. The Ultimate Immune would probably be an excellent formula for him, because the Ultimate Immune has ginseng and antler in it, and those are major cellular proliferators, and there's a time when we can use these tools. And since we've discovered antler and that they are now procuring them without harm, I think this is excellent, and it is really a growth factor for humans. And I think it's important for those people in trauma situations like this. These herbs and constituents accelerate the regeneration of tissue. But again, you got to go back. Even in trauma and injury, you got to go back and remember that you have two sides of chemistry, and that the acid side is always going to be the corrosive side, whether it's injury or whether it's just cell waste or whether it is external pollution or byproducts of anything. We're surrounded with that side of that. However, still, we live on a base chemistry planet. When man doesn't get that anymore, he probably won't live here, because you can't acidify the air. And I don't know, we just have a bunch of dumb people running governments out there. Not very bright, but they think they're bright. And that's what's always interesting. Those that are most narcissistic are sometimes the most stupid. And so nobody's taking care of anything. And it's just, even though it's the dream, it's about the individual consciousness and how that's manifested. Because there's a little secret out there of down the road in your journey about having your own universe, your own worlds. Oh, there's a lot to creation, and a lot of souls here don't know yet. So there's a lot out there that your journey's moving toward that's pretty cool, pretty exciting. And so it really, you have to take that time and spend it alone and get to know yourself and appreciate the fact that you have consciousness. You don't have to give yourself love in terms of love, the emotional component. Just being in the moment is the highest form of love you can have, and I'll discuss that on the love video and why that is. But that is at the level of the optimum God force. And it's just the ultimate love area. So that's what I say with this young man. Clean him out. Detoxification, it shouldn't be seen just as a process of trying to get healthy. It is. And that can be applied to trauma. But it's also the process of rejuvenation, regeneration. And that's what this man needs. And regeneration takes place in a predominantly base medium. There's always the need for acids. Let's don't get too far out of that realm. Because some of you have written and said, well, you know, but high alkalis will burn too. Absolutely. You know, really both ends of the pH spectrum are gnarly. There's no question about it. It's more toward that middle and balance, and that's what we've been talking about on these videos, is balance. And you'll find that life works well in balance. As it moves further to each side, there is drama. But still, it's one that you have to treat him just like you would yourself and going after your own health issues. But we got so many tools in nature. This is where we accelerate with tissue rejuvenation. And so the Ultimate Immune would be good there. Upper circ and brain and nerve. This will help regenerate the nervous system. Definitely get the adrenal glands. Now you can use glandulars and use them more as stem cell philosophies and go after different tissues that might need it. If he's had liver damage, obviously he's probably had a lot of wounds up in the upper torso. But the rejuvenation, again, is important to do that. Might even, if he fills up in the lungs, you might even use lung 2. If he's pulling water in the lungs a lot, you can use lungs 2 to help expectorate that way. But there's going to be detoxification symptoms too, so just remember that sort of thing. But you should be able to get this man back. It's just a freaking sad thing. Stabbed over 20 times. The guy killed his wife. I mean, this is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. God. People are going nuts. Bad karma. And the problem is, these people like that created a bunch of karma for themselves. Now they got to go work it off. What realm, what world are they going to go work it off at? I told you I was taken to an astral prison once, and I guarantee you, if whatever it takes to get there, don't ever do it. And I don't know what it takes to get there, but The fear is overwhelming within your beingness, not physical. This is there's some bad places that consciousness takes itself to refurbish itself. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. So it's just enough to say that it's always good to give love and be humble. That's all I can tell you. It's always good to do that. Because the other side is a barbed wire fence down the groin. This is from TEH. Goomba. Hello, Dr. Morse. Thank you too, sweetheart. I have mastocytosis. That's the mutations of the mast cells of the body, which is a genetic disease. Well, let's throw that word disease away, because disease isn't a real thing. That's what the medical doctors use as kind of a shoe-in for you to try to blame something external, to blame something outside of oneself, and to try to find some kind of thing for the mind to fit in. And the problem is, this isn't true. The mutation of tissue, 98% of the time, in my opinion, occurs under acidosis. Could we have some alkalosis mutations? Maybe. But I think that the body would rectify that before it becomes intracellular. I think it's much easier to understand intracellular acidosis, meaning inside the cell. And you can understand that when interstitial fluid becomes constipated, then the ability of a cell to eliminate its waste is compromised, just like you are when you're constipated. So then that cell has to retain its own waste. And you know what happens when you retain your own waste. Toxemia, and then of course mutation and acidosis and death and that sort of thing. So in your genetic line, genetics is our fact anyway. So genetic isn't a fancy word. It just means that every generation, every cell is feeding up off the memory of the past cells. And that's just how they learn to respond. You see that all the time in the looks of people, how they look like the mom or dad and all this sort of thing. And it just goes deeper when you learn the eyes and you start comparing the eyes of yourself and your mom and your parents and grandparents. You start seeing a fascinating thing. Oh, look, my eyes look like my mama's. Or my dad's. Or look, I can see my dad in my eye, I can see my mom in my eye, and look, there's grandma. So that's kind of cool to see that. But it's easy to understand that as we're regenerating the human species from cells, and these cells come from the main mast cells. So this is just, or stem cells, so this is just cells that have been damaged, that you're passing this on. And I find that this is helpful to understand when you look at it in this genetic term, that you're really physically not, it's more in the consciousness, it's more in the level that it's hard to understand. You're mutating the intelligence of a cell. And I know that's out there for some people to realize, but that's the force that creates everything. Everything is made up of consciousness. In its definition, that consciousness becomes atoms, and atoms then becomes chemistry, and then chemistry becomes form, and then we have interactions of the form between the two magnetic poles. So you see how that all works. But in reality, this comes out of the consciousness or the intelligence or the awareness of the cell. And all things are locked in that. That's why pulling yourself outside of time and pulling yourself into the allness of the now, you start to see all that, because all of that exists. All that intelligence, all that God consciousness, all of that can only be found in the present moment. Outside of that is simply the movement of consciousness between two poles in a magnetic flux. And that's all it is. And then these frequencies then set up images and worlds, and as you go down, further away, and I don't even want to put it that way because there is no distance, so to speak, the illusion of distance, and as you come down to the physical world, which is the most chemical world there is. After you leave your physical body, you'll find that the worlds are more energetic and magnetic and less chemical. And that this is the most chemical world, the physical world, that I've ever found in my journeys in the God worlds. And so maybe there's worlds that are more finite than this, but I doubt it. This is borderlining claustrophobic. It's borderline static. almost. And though nothing can be static, but this is sure borderline static compared to where you come from and the things you can experience outside of these worlds. So I know I don't want to freak people out with this, but did I finish this? Oh, maybe not. Sorry. Some people call I'm rambling on, but I really have some points to make with that. So, when you're eating foods, you're eating consciousness. When you're consuming anything, you're just consuming part of that which creates all. Because it's all of the same goop. It all comes out of this mass of God. And it's just like a piece of the pie. And so when you consume, you're consuming intelligence. And it's just that everything has levels to it. The vibrational frequency and the level of meat is not at the level of the fruit. And so all these have different vibrational frequencies. And that is always interrupted by what we do with that. Whether we cook it, whether we process it, then we're augmenting that intelligence, that consciousness of that. And in these worlds, we use the term states of consciousness, meaning these are all multiple levels of consciousness, infinite levels of states of consciousness, although part of the one. The illusion is that they're separate, but it is essential because if you're all that exists, you have to do something to play. You have to do something to have to experience outside of yourself to give you that appearance because there is nothing outside of yourself. So, and you'll see that in the most alone times that you have, that there is no one and you can't be out of the body and you're still with yourself. You cannot lose your consciousness because it is all that exists. So you can take the bodies away, you can, try to run and hide, but it doesn't happen. So with this, you've got to get these power foods up there to change the consciousness of these cells. Because you're bringing in consciousness to interact with consciousness. And everything seeks a homeostasis in physics. Everything seeks a balance, even in chemistry. So by increasing your consumption of higher intelligent food, now this is to you spiritual people, and some of you guys will probably hit me for this, but you're consuming intelligence at one level, whether you understand it or not. Call it energy. Physics use the word energy, and remember, we've talked about in quantum physics, they're relating now energetics to intelligence. And then you just keep on going, and you can use the word consciousness, intelligence. I don't care what word you use. It doesn't matter because we don't have the kind of words you use to define that which is. That is that which is all of all. We don't have but a few little words to use. And then if you can't speak proper English, then you probably wouldn't be able to use those words, could we? But anyway, it's just that getting your consumption in these higher levels of consciousness, which are always the fruits and the berries and the melons. Remember, that which grows further from the ground is going to be more magnetically alive. And that's what you see, as you see foods growing closer to the ground, there are foods under the ground, heavy starches, heavy on you, hard to digest, too complex. The lighter, the more etheric. Most of you are experiencing a heightened sense of happiness now, a higher sense of self and motivation. That's because you're consuming that. You're consuming these higher forms of energetics and consciousness. And therefore, it's giving you that. It's like, oh, wow, this is cool. Absolutely. And that's how you find your happiness. You can't be consuming earthly, more mineralized food and think this is healthy. And we just have we're into minerals, heavy minerals. I just disagree with that thinking. Sorry. Look at the Schussler's cell salts and the biochemical cell salts. When they look breaking down the ash of the foods, and then there's the cell salts. So, but then you can go beyond the cell salts. So it's just a constant teaser for the mind, but I can just say in a clinical setting and in personal experience, you will see that the higher off the ground you eat, not only the healthier you'll be, but the bigger the smile you have. And that's how you change the mastocytosis, or it doesn't matter what word you call it. That's how you take care of cells that have been warped by being in this world, you know, because this is all about energy and magnetics. All these low earthly, very low diets, magnetic diets people eat, you can't expect to be happy. You can't expect to be full of energy if you kill what you eat, you know, and cook it up and everything. Oh, where are you getting your energy from? Neurotransmitters and things like this for a while, and then we have to eat meat full of neurotransmitters to have any kind of energy, and then we mistaken that energy for nutrition and health, so we have to have meat because it gives us I mean, it's all insane. You have to take this stuff apart and step back away from that and look at that. So it's enough to say, if you want to rebuild your cells, no matter which ones, you've got to get up on these higher fruit, berry, and melon diets. Green drinks, I don't care. I'm good with green drinks, guys. But, Robert, thanks. Thank you so much. This is Krysta. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you so much. I hope I don't scare some of you away, but it's time man awakens now. It's essential. And I don't even use the word man, because man doesn't awaken. It's the soul. You know, man's just a physical form, whether it's male or female. You can say that about animals. These are just forms that magnetics take, that consciousness takes. And once you understand that and you start looking at that, you'll start going, wow, I'm beginning to see how this universe is put together. I'm beginning to see how the God worlds are put together. All these spiritual guys already found all that. And they give us hints about that. So in class, we're going to get a little more involved in the map of creation, just a little bit, to help you with cases like this, where you take cells that are mutating down genetic lines, which all of them are, basically, and how you turn that around for yourself. And then how do you get rid of that which is causing that, which is predominantly, in my opinion, the acid side of chemistry. And I'm glad she says, thanks for giving my hope back. I want to give all your hopes back, because you don't have to sit there and suffer. It might be some work to get the human body back. I won't lie about that. There's work to do, no question. You have to change your awareness, your consciousness. You have to change that. You have to now eat for yourself. Eat to make yourself healthy, not your emotions. Keep your emotions over here. There's a reason why I'm trying to get you guys away from your emotions and away from your mind. And you're seeing this one case that this guy got that. We're in a time where everybody's playing with mind control. Governments are playing with that. I mean, that's a fact. So we've got and of course the frequencies are filling up the sky. So there's chatter everywhere and driving people crazy. And so I don't know. It's real scary out there. And that's why you have to get to that inner beingness of yourself where there is the sukkah and where God is, and let creation do what it's going to do. Don't let creation pull you away. There's going to be times where you can't help it and you're going to be involved. And I think that's essential. I'm involved. I'm involved with suing the federal government. I'm involved with that, because if we don't keep those people that are supposed to oversee and protect us as a society, if we let them get corrupt, then you see what's happened. And unfortunately, most governments around the world are corrupt. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And the World Bank, I mean, these guys need to go to jail for a very, very, very long time. So I don't know, you know, it's just you've got to be open. You've got to communicate with your people. And so I don't know. Now, last question. I am really trying to tackle my chronic bowels. Yeah, now there's a good one. Now this lady is trying to deal with her chronic bowels. And I'll tell you, we all have chronic bowels. Don't think you don't. I mean, once in a while I'm seeing pretty foreign bowels. There's always some things going on, but by and large, guys, the GI tract has literally been destroyed with proteins, white flour products, these things, dairy products. These three foods, if you can even call them foods, have literally destroyed man's bowels. Well, we shift over and take a look at the two kidneys there and go, oops, they got it too. And so this is why we see so much GI tract problems and kidney problems. That should be one's main focus. And by the way, there just happen to be the eliminative organs of waste. And if you don't eliminate waste, then you start to feel it. Oh, I'm stiff, I'm sore. Ooh, I stink. Waste. I'm taking the lymph capsules. Good idea. Now, the lymphatic capsules are designed to help draw and pull. Remember, these are lymphatic herbs and foods are more stringent. So they pull, and clean. And, of course, they help to strengthen cells. That's why these are cancer herbs. They help to either strengthen a cell or terminate cells. There's some herbs in there very strong, but they don't. Isn't it funny? You see some. I have one lady on the lymphatic or lymph node 2, and she says my tumor's died. It's died. I thought that was pretty interesting. These herbs are. I can't tell you. There's so much to the herbs that who even knows the truth behind some of this stuff. But the lymph capsules a good take. The GI broom, excellent take. And stomach and bowel capsules. Those are the 3 things I use for that because I don't know what else. That's why I developed that GI broom. There's plenty of these sort of things on the market, but not like the GI broom. If you look at what I put in there, I put a lot of astringents in there, like white oak bark. I might have white pond lily in there. I think it's harder to get pond lily now. But anyway, these are strong astringents. And you use them for hemorrhoids, you use them for varicose veins, spider veins. If you look at the prolapsed organs formula, you'll see what I have in there. And these strengthen too. We have to understand that astringents also strengthen, and most of them are very high in calcium. White oak bark is very high in calcium. So it's just what we're trying to do. Now you have to also remember that there's a lymphatic system in the wall of the bowels. And that's what you're after. You're after that, though, through the lymph nodes and through the kidneys. So you got to remember that when it comes to the GI tract, you're still moving lymph through the kidneys to fix the GI tract, because the GI tract is just a bunch of cells and 2 fluids. Whatever you can get that lymph to dump external or through the bowel wall, through the canal, and that's when you see those shreds of mucus in your stool. That's when I think you're really cleaning out. And some of this could even be coming from the liver and the pancreas. The body wants to spit out, expectorate, get rid of. You see that in tumors, you see that in everything else. So it shows you how much the body wants to be well. It's looking for a way out, it's looking for a door. And if you break down the skin, whether you're pulling a tumor with black salve or you just let the tissue break down from acids, you're going to have a port, you're going to have a hole. So this is why we're trying to open up these areas as fast as possible. I've also been getting colonics to help assist the process. But I wouldn't do too many of them, seriously, because colonics are almost, you have an innervation period. Anybody that's had colonics knows this. And you don't need to have that period of time when herbs and foods will do better than water washing the colon. You can only do that so much. You're really after the integrity of the tissue, which is the cell consciousness, and you're after that which mutates that. Okay, but you're also, when you think about this, there's so many bowels that are ballooned, there's so many bowels that are spastic, there's so many bowels that are prolapsed. I mean, everybody has that, but how much? Some people look horrible. Look to the parathyroid gland. Look to the parathyroid gland, connective tissue. Always make sure your parathyroid gland is good, because calcium utilization is essential in the repair of tissue. And I'll go back, Sean, to this man that was stabbed here. You got to also look at the endocrine glands here, particularly the parathyroid, and the regeneration of connective tissue and any skeletal tissue that was damaged there too. In your detox book, you say 3 to 5 colonics should help tremendously, but for cases like mine where I have colonic bowels, I should do more? No, because this is just going to be time and cleaning and changing the awareness of the cells. It's just going to be time and letting your body clean itself out and rebuild that area. There's just nothing fast when it takes this, but you're looking at generations of genetic thinking on top of that, and your lifetime of lifestyle. And you just can't change that overnight. It's just impossible. That's why you have to set a year out of your life, 2 years out of your life, and say, these 2 years are going to be for me. I'm not me ego, but me, my body. I want a good, nice body to carry me around while I'm on this planet, because someday I'm going to be parking my car and taking off. Hallelujah. especially where I'm really involved in the transverse colon. Yeah, this is typical. This is so typical, honey. I'm telling you. And with this comes the pituitary, sometimes the pineal, where you have insomnia, you can't sleep, and you got to clean the bowels to get up in the head. You got to clean your colon, and the transverse portion of the colon is linked right to the friggin' head. Ugh. And this is where, I know, and this is a common place to do resections too. Should I do more? No. Experience really transfers, which is impacting my pituitary. You guys are getting good. I love you guys. That is smart. This lady's smart. You guys are getting smart. I love it. I love it. I love it. Do we know everything? No. But we have a good picture, don't we? And absolutely. And it doesn't matter because it's so simple that you can heal no matter what. Those that want to get intellectual, go ahead, have fun. Have fun. But keep the structure. Keep the foundation of what we're teaching here. And don't try to get lost too far. Typically, you can get a little lost. And you have to be careful about this, you on Facebook. You have to be careful because those that have never journeyed, this is such a high level of thinking that the mind goes, but what about minerals? But if you've not come through my world, I got rid of the buts years ago because they didn't work. But you guys have not. So a lot of you are starting to take on a few other little things. And let me tell you, don't waste your time. It's a nowhere road. But it's up to you, you know, going down this road. This road is pretty paved. Everybody's going down the same road. But if I can save you a little dip in the road for a while, let me do that. Nothing is as high as this. We've got to get our head out of earthly minerals and things like this if you want to survive, because they're stimulants. If you look at the magnetics of minerals compared to the salts even, major differences. And so what is truth? And that's the point, is that if you go back and get involved in the intellectual mind, it'll get you lost even more and more and more because we're infantile in that level right here. The Homo sapiens species is not a very involved species, so don't everybody get mad, but we're still killing each other. That's not very evolved on the totem pole. Let me take you to some worlds where the ecstasy is so great, the love for each individual being is so great. This down here, we don't have love for each other like we should. And that's why it's so important that each of you get your happiness and your joy back, get your body feeling good, or at least your spirituality, get solid in yourself, and just enjoy the beauty of the allness of life, whatever happens in front of you, because you're going to see a lot of destruction coming. I'm just going to tell you up front. There's going to be things coming here, and I think you get strong in yourself, okay? And this gives her this vitiligo. She's right on. She's right on here. The pituitary gives her the vitiligo. You see what I'm saying? These are not separate things. They're all tied together. That's why it's holistic. That's why it's systemic. And that's why you go after the body like this. And it'll all come in and join, and the body will get itself well. Because remember, the body, even though made up of individual states of consciousness, is quite intelligent. It's amazing. I wish, I don't think our little minds could comprehend the all. There's too much. I just recently accomplished a 6-day fruit juice fast, which I don't have any healing crisis, just super low energy, always wanting to nap while I know this is my chronic adrenals. Honey, you get this like nobody's business. You're exactly right. It's exactly what it is. There's people that fast like this that don't get that because they don't have the adrenal weakness. They get more energy, you notice? But there are those that get less. And it's not about the diet. You're eating the most energetic, magnetically alive food on the planet. It's not about that. It's just what you said. You got it right on the ball. Oh, I love you guys. This is just it. Your adrenals, you got to work on them. But then that's how you got the chronic bowels. When you go back and you look at the kidney and adrenals control the sewer system, and even though the colon is another route for digestive food as opposed to cellular food or waste, still, you got that sewer system everywhere, in the wall of everything. It's everywhere. It is the dominant fluid of everywhere. So this is a big deal. And so you get it. I love that. I love that. I've just started on grapes and lemons fast only, but here is my concern. When I did the fruit juice fast, I wasn't drinking a lot. I just never felt hungry. Well, that's another thing, is that when you get up after 3 or 4 days, you lose hunger totally. But that's where fasting comes in. And if you're up there and you just don't want to eat, okay, because you're allowing the body, it's full energetics. Here's the problem with fasting when you have real weak adrenals. Blood sugar, blood pressure, everything's going to go low in weak adrenals. It's just because now there's nothing hyper-stimulating the adrenals. Fruits are not stimulants, if you notice. They're just pure energy and love, baby. So they're not here to hurt you. They're here, let's take a ride. And that's what they're for. So that's what I'm saying. It's just that it is your chronic adrenals, and you just got to go after that. And that's why I do use the glandulars, but that's where you want to go. When you get those adrenals built, fast will empower you, because at a certain level, digestion is boring. Digestion is an innervation. You know, that's why it's so important to eat in the higher levels, especially when you're my age and when you're older. When you're older, you don't want to eat heavy foods. I mean, that's what's going to bring you down, bring the body down. So you want to stay light. Which I did take about a couple sips and was done. I was putting the juice in a 32-ounce glass jar and could barely finish that in one day. That's how you get. I mean, it is how you get. And this is a problem for you healers out there when you get advanced cancer cases and they just don't want to eat. That's a natural rhythm of nature, by the way. However, when the human is at a level not rhythmatic with that anymore, and that's why we have to have some stages there between you see on this site that some people can't even handle the level of fruit. You have to bring them back down to the vegetables for a while before you can get them up there. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sitting here just pumping fruitarianism. I'm pumping how do you get well. I don't care about the lifestyle people lead. Not up to me. But I'm just saying what foods you need to get well. How do you take a body that's highly acidic, been broken down at the cellular level, full of tumors, how do you get that person well? How do you get a person well when their mast cells are mutated at a point from genetics? And that's what I'm saying. We talked about this little 7-month-old liver cancer case that we got. 7 months old. You can't convert a healthy cell in a liver of an infant to make it a cancer cell in 7 months, even on formulas. Impossible. So you have to understand that the mutation is in the consciousness. And that's why you see that. And when you change that and you lift that consciousness, these mutative sides are cleaned away and rebuilt and repaired from a physical view. It's hard to explain sometimes how this is. I can't say that I know it all either. I mean, it's just so much to this. It's so glorious and incredible. We just don't know. You've got to quit looking from the physical eyes. That's why man doesn't know what he's doing. It's why he's bumping in labs. Why we have labs and experimenting on animals and crap like that. Because they're locked physically in their consciousness. Those spiritual people are looking at that going, my God, why are you killing and damaging all these animals? For what reason? You don't need to. We already have the answers we need. I know, it's a nightmare. So man has to lift his consciousness up. But we have so many who would like to keep it down. I also, let me see, drinking when I feel hungry. But I'm also concerned I'm not getting enough fruit to detox myself. I'm looking for a very strong detoxifying fruit. Well, I'll say this, sweetheart. In the process of detoxification, water is stronger than fruit, and then dry is stronger than that. But dry fasting is something, I know Yaz is doing it, a lot of you are doing it, getting a lot of crap out, boy, I can't believe it. But, a lot of you that are sick, forget dry fasting, even water fasting right now. Get yourselves up a little more, get your body cleaned up a little more, get your adrenals up a little more before you enter in the realm of fasting too much. Sweetheart, your body's just trying to take you down to the level that all life goes to in a hurting state, and that is fasting. And the problem is, I think humans are too advanced for that. I could be wrong. Just my opinion that I think it's better to spend some time using food to detoxify as opposed to just water. So I think you're right in the way you think. I think you should attempt to consume fruit throughout the day. If you just eat on a grape now and then, keep them in your purse or whatever, or pocket, and then, take a grape now and then, just chew on it throughout the day. That's okay too. Get some power in there and work on your adrenals while you're doing this and build all this up. Grapes, lemons, that's great. That's the best. To me, grapes and lemons are at the top of the hill, honey. The mountain. We'll mix both of these fruits. Yup. Incredible. One last thing. Finally, I want your opinion on lymphatic drainage massage. Okay, so what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to, and people are starting to understand this more and more and more, the value of kinesiology. And I want to show you how to do this, but I need to get somebody out there, some male that's willing to take off their shirt and let me show you how to do this. But I'm not going to do it today because everybody's calling off and we're so backed up that I can't get anybody to come help me. So I'll show you that. But on your back, you have your spine going down the middle, and on each side of the spine, start rubbing clockwise, not on the spine, on each side. And I've said this before, you'll see these little spaces between the ribs and all that. You'll feel, and you can feel when you rub somebody's skin, get used to rubbing somebody. and feel the stiffness and the tightness. That's where the lymph is saturated the most. These are neural lymphatic points. That is the best lymph drainage you're going to get, is using these neural lymphatic points. That is going to be the best. If you can find a massage therapist that knows neural lymphatic points and knows kinesiology, you're sitting on top of the world. That is going to be your better lymph drainage. If you get someone that just does typical massage lymph drainage, they're going to drain toward the inferior vena cava. Nope. Drain down each back, down toward the kidneys, guys. Better. You'll feel better. And there's kidney neurolymphatic points. Work on those kidney neurolymphatic points. I don't teach that enough, I know. Most chiropractors, at least a lot of them, are into kinesiology, and there are some massage therapists going, oh, this is really good, and it really works well. You can really drain that well. Dr. Jensen had a close friend, and he became a close friend of mine, came in here with prostate cancer, elderly man, of course, because Jensen and him were buddies. They were buddies for 60, 70 years, and Rudy was a napropath, taught by Dr. Stone personally. And one day I was telling him, I had a little car accident here and had a whiplash, and he goes, let me see, bump, 2 points, drain. I'm going, damn, I even feel it draining. I mean, I've never experienced that, and it's like that guy was so good. Died at 85, but man, he was so good. Matter of fact, he was working on my sister's son, and he goes, in 1979, what'd you do here? My sister and her son looked at him like, what? He had a motorcycle accident, and he's working on him, and over here he said, in 1990, what'd you do here? That's good. And he died without passing it on. And I have another good friend who's an acupuncturist, and she's a massage therapist as well. Big woman, the keeper of the waters, as she says. And she begged him, teach me. Nope, wouldn't teach her. Talk about someone that hated medical doctors. Whew! Because of what they did to us back in those days. I'm telling you, we have a reason we feel the way we do about the medical community, and some of you newer medical doctors don't realize that. But in the older days, when someone cusses you and calls you every name in the book, states trying to throw you in jail, what do you think? If you're not familiar with this, what is it? It is oh, I'm very familiar with it. You can have all levels of massage. What I don't agree with right now, and I want you guys to remember this, and if you're a massage therapist, please remember this. Roffers or deep tissue work, you be real certain that they're not a parathyroid case. You be certain they don't bruise easy. You be certain like that, because if not, like I said, we had a lovely lady work for us who passed from an aneurysm from too much of a deep tissue massage. You must be very careful when you work on people. You also understand the role of the adrenals and the kidneys and lymph drainage. And this is something that hopefully, as massage therapy gets this, they will abandon medical theory and go to the holistic side from which they are a part of. Let me see. I want to overwhelm my body and move lymph faster than I can handle. Now that, wiser words were never said. This lady, it's a lady, I hope, gets it. If not, it's a man, sorry, apologize. You get it. And that's what I love about it. You get it. And the more of you guys get this, it'll make your life so much better. It'll fit like a perfect glove on your hand, and you'll start to see where they're missing out. And my kidneys are not filtering to their best ability. So you be careful, just like you said, about trying to pull too much to the kidneys, or you'll wake up with a urinary tract infection. You'll wake up with, oh, my kidneys are hurting. Absolutely. So there is a rhythmatic manner, a manner in which I'm just one of those aggressive son of a guns, because our cases are that way. Our cases are near-death cases, cases like this man that's fighting for his life with the feeding tubes from all the stab wounds. This is what we get. And that's why I'm aggressive. So those of you that have the time, relax. Go it at your pace that you can. But you'll have a lot of clients, you healers, that you just don't have the time to mess around with. And plus, people get tired. You know, not everybody is raw foodist mania. You have clients that are just looking to get well. They don't want to become raw foodists. They just want to be well. And so you have to re-educate them. You have to excite them about the raw. And even if they come out of this and they go back to 60, 70%, if they came back at 50-50 and be happy, you'd make a major change on the planet. You know, and so that's what this is about. Even if these changes are like Bill Murray said one time in a movie, baby steps. So you got the, oh man, I can't say, what am I going to tell you? You've got it all down. What am I going to tell you? I had a question about diabetes. I have a friend who is basically doing the SAD diet and not too motivated to change. I was wondering what kind of improvements can someone expect who just does the herbal protocol alone and doesn't do the raw vegan? Well, that's a good question. I think it ties into what I just said. You're going to have these people. Does it mean we just shun them away and we criticize them and stuff? No, that's not higher consciousness. That's not spirituality. That's judgmental stuff. That's the mind. And so, no, we have to have compassion. And if you don't, you know what's going to happen? Karma. In other words, something's going to happen to you to make you have compassion. That's the problem. Is this why? Oh, I'll have compassion because it'll whip you till you do. I mean, that's life. It's molding you. It's forming you because you have some exciting things coming in your journeys, some exciting things. And this is the world of maturity. This is a world that beats you, that pulls you, that tears you, and it's affecting your consciousness. It's just a very material world moved by your consciousness, turned on by the light of your awareness through the mind and emotions. And now your mind is programmed and fed and dealt with. So all the education, all the feeding is your mind. And this mind is much bigger than you think. It supersedes physicality. It supersedes the physical world. It supersedes the emotional world. This is the biggest part of creation there is the mental worlds. And huge. Huge, huge, huge. So it's enough to say that I would say this. Someone that has diabetes, if it's type 2, this is sugar metabolism. That's your adrenal glands and cortisol. It's simply saying that any sugar you consume, you're going to have a little problem with. So don't get upset. But you want to still stay with your simple sugars, just common sense, your starches. So if you're someone that's and an omnivorous eater, at least get rid of the starches if you're having blood sugar problems. Quit making your body, demand that. And I would say, try to increase salads with your meats and stuff. Balance that out. Cut way down on your proteins. There are some things this person can do, or let them have their diabetes. The other thing is you could use, I've got this formula called healthy glucose. and it's coming in capsules, should be here pretty soon. It's already made in glycerin. It's just we're waiting for the company to make our labels, and then all our glycerin formulas will be here in another week or two. But it's the labels. That, remember I told you that Marcy has type 1, it's soon to not be, but bam, I mean, she went from 200 to 50 just with one dose. So it's a good blood sugar controlling herbal formula, but that's not what we're after. We're after the adrenal glands. So yeah, you can still get a lot done, but clean up the diet a little bit. At least clean up the diet a little bit. Because if you don't make an effort to do a little bit, I don't know if someone's worth it. You know, because they need to have their own experiences. And there's a point where we can't go too far into someone else's world and invoke a change in their experiences. You know, you don't want to get any karma from it. You know, I hate to say this, and I don't mean to be discompassionate, but, you know, you can't wear the weight of the world on your shoulders. You can't carry other people's karma around. You got enough of our own. So just remember, it isn't not love if you let someone have their own karma. A lot of the masters don't step in the way sometimes, so you'll learn and grow. And that's an issue there. So do your best, and I love you. And thanks a lot for your question, Mark and Tasha. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, guys. Hey, Bartholomew, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hugs and kisses to you, too. Now, how can I heal my dog's seasonal belly rash? Okay, so even though he's an omnivore, think about this. What's causing the rash on the skin? And again, dogs are omnivores, and we consider them as carnivores sometimes. And I'm saying that dogs fed high-protein diets don't do well. Their poop doesn't do well. Their skin doesn't do well. They get acidosis like everything else. Actually, a dog is required to have some vegetable matter in their lives. Even though they're not like a herbivore, my dog went after the herbs. My golden retriever, my little Coco, he didn't know what an herb is hardly. But a golden retriever definitely would hunt the herbs. Me and him were walkers. I'd walk with him all over miles every day. And he would stop and eat the grass, and he'd check out which one he wanted and consumed it. And I think those animals do well. Lived to he's 15. They did well. And so I think you have to look at that, you know, and get some vegetables. There's dogs, and there's the grape thing where grapes kill dogs. And I've always said my dog would have been long dead. He loves grapes. A lot of dogs like grapes, so I don't know where anybody would think a grape could kill a dog. Same thing with chocolate. You know, it could damage his kidneys and stuff. I know people whose dogs are chocoholics. But it's just enough to say that if you get your dog to eat some veggies and some fruits, that would be a good idea. If not, you do the best you can. Get your best dog foods out there that you can. And there's so many great sites for great organic dog foods. It's amazing out there. A lot of people are putting some good stuff together out there. I'll say this, lymphatic, kidney, and adrenal, or endocrine gland, either way. But do a lymphatic formula, lymphatic 1 on the dog. Do a kidney formula on the dog, because remember, all canines have kidney failure to a certain degree. So, especially those that run out of the eyes, you know, that's just kidneys. So, you want to open up the kidney channel. You're going to do the lymphatic system. And, of course, the adrenals are important, too. So, those 3 herbs would be very important for your dog. You can work on a dog like you do a baby. Same herbs, but you just have fewer formulas, and you're right to the point, and only dosages per weight. If a Heal-All-T poultice is recommended, how long should it? Not really. I mean, this is an internal problem, and I don't think you have to go to the extent of putting a Heal-All poultice on there unless it's really inflamed and hurting. I would go tackle this where it starts, and that's inside the dog, and go that way. Herbal capsules might be easier for her. She's very high-spirited. Herbal capsules, or what you do is take one of your herbal bottles that's empty and put equal amounts of lymphatic 1, kidney 1, and say endocrine or adrenals. And then when you give them this, shake it up, and you want to add, say you're going to use a quarter of a dropper full of each formula for the weight of the dog, then you would have 3/4 a dropper full. So you'd go 3/4 or a whole dropper full of that mixture of 3 formulas down the dog. And it's easier to take a dropper and just squirt it in the mouth. And with the new glycerin, it might work out good for them. But we do capsules. We do all those things. Some people open the capsule, spread it on the dog food, and the dogs love it. So I don't know. You have to see how your dog can take it. If not, get yourself one of your tincture bottles. Fill it with those 3 equal parts, because you're going to take equal parts out. We also discovered a teeny tumor. Yeah, absolutely. See what I'm saying? This is interstitial, and this is going right back to the lymph system again. That's just what this is. And you see that with the tumor, and it's just showing you in the skin. Remember, the skin is the kidney, so you're just seeing this here with your dog here. So you want to get this done now before he has too much troubles here, which is mystifying to us. It shouldn't be, but it's a lymph system. As we've been feeding her grass beef. Well, here you go. And some organic vegetables. This dog's been eating some organic vegetables. Well, it goes to the fact, guys, that I think you have to go back into the canines and what I've been told by vets and things, and that 98% of the breeds all have kidney weaknesses. And so you're going to see this. Meat is not what we think it is. It's a toxic protein. It's that sort of thing. And there's a lot of breeders that don't use meat on their animals, on their dogs. And I've had plenty of clients that turned their dogs to vegetarians, and they actually did better. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about all that. I just am saying that what you're seeing is a lymphatic problem. And I think it goes right back to the kidneys again. The fact that these breeds have kidney weakness, and this is just what you're seeing. She loves fruits, but she stretches whenever she eats them. She scratches whenever she eats them. Well, you know why? Aggressive. Again, same thing with humans. Very aggressive. So fruits are rare treats, but once you clean her lymph system out, she won't scratch anymore. You might add a little parasite M in there and deworm her and defungal her too, because remember, they're going to get fungus in them, they're going to get worms in them just like anything else. So mix a little parasite in with that mix there. Can you please recommend a program for her to regain her health? Yeah, you could do lymphatic 1, kidney 1, adrenal or endocrine gland, and parasite M. You can do that. And if you want to use capsules, you can actually use stomach and bowel number 1 to clean their bowels out. And just like you would a human. Absolutely. And then start giving her more fruit treats. Absolutely. And that'll clean her out even better. But the parasite M will help that itchy stuff. Because you've seen a lot of our clients get itchy and scratchy when they go on these higher levels of detox. Yeah, I suppose in some cases we should slow it down. But some people complain that they still have to do the raw. I mean, you've got to realize in clinical work, not everybody is an enthusiastic raw foodist. It just is not going to happen that way. So you have to be prepared to deal with that, or you're not going to have a lot of clientele and you won't develop your reputation. You have to give space, give love, and understand that it's a struggle. We've been brainwashed, and some souls are just not at the level where they can let that go yet. And you just have to look at that's a soul trapped in a human body, having experiences in a human body, and they've been conditioned to think the way they are. That's where you have to give love to all things, realizing that. But on the other hand, get yourself together and open up your consciousness and get moving, right? So that's what I would do. Okay, she's a little terrier mix between 8 to 10 years old. Wow. And she weighs 18 pounds, about the size of mine. Okay, so I would say 18 pounds. You probably want... I'd say a little quarter of a dropper full at the very most. So if you use 4 formulas, that's 4 quarters. That's a whole dropper full of a mix of each one of those in there. And you don't want much more than that, because they'll respond pretty easy. You can even go a little less than a quarter of a dropper full if you want, like an eighth. But I think a quarter would be adequate. Let me see here. Here we go. Cherry eye, which she still has. She had a cherry eye, and she weighed 30 pounds, twice her veterinary recommended weight. Recently, she developed tiny scabs on her head and one large one between her eyes, which felt like a mole. But upon investigation, it was picked off. Yeah, I mean, just detoxify her and go after her sewer system, and I'd kill some parasites, fungus in her too. Thanks for that question, though. It was good, Bartholomew. Good day, Robert. This is Mark again. Hey, Mark. And Tasha. I was wondering how you would adjust your protocol for someone, and this is a good question. Mark, I thought this was good, guys. For someone living in a cold climate that can't really do an extended raw fast, this will be very important for people like myself who are trying to help people in cold climates. I think they're in Canada. Thanks so much, Robert. Thanks. You guys are cool guys. Thank you so much, guys. Well, you know, as I've said, make sure the breakfast is fruit at least. That's essential. Remember, when you wake up, your lymph is backed up, you have mucus in your eyes, your throat needs to clear, people are scraping their tongues. You're in a fast through the night, and you always break fasts with fruits. So you want to stay on a fruit breakfast, always. If you need to, then go to a big solid lunch, and then pick up your warmer foods in the evening, like steamed vegetables, things like that. I might pop some green drinks midday. That's when you're going to have to rely more on the herbs, I would say, through the winter than you are the diet, and just wean yourself through that. Or take a nice extended vacation to the tropics for the winter. But yeah, I have to agree that it is very difficult. After a while, though, it depends where you are here and the ability to control that. But certainly there's nothing wrong about having some steamed vegetables, stir-fried vegetables, things like that. Or maybe a baked potato, something like that in the evening. Maybe a big salad at lunch and then your fruit meal in the morning. That'll give you some minor detox through the winter. And at the same time you do your herbs, I think you do well. Playing with that as you wish. That's why I try in these northern climates, when you're detoxing. When you're not detoxing and you're just trying to maintain, you still want to do the fruit breakfast no matter what. My maintenance is kind of like that. I do my fruit breakfasts. At lunch, I have a big salad. And at supper, if I do any warm foods, that's when I do them. And that's only when I'm out. At home, I'm just piecing on fruit or whatever I can piece on. Sometimes I, maybe do cookie or something at night. If they're around, someone gives me one or something. But outside of that, I try to keep it in that way. When I'm detoxing, I'm strict as any one of you guys. I'm doing total fruit, and that's it. So it depends where your thinking is at the time. I'm not always in a state of detoxification by far, and we're all not going to be. And just like you said, Mark, you're going to have times where you're going to balance that out. Okay, I think that the most important thing is that you mamas that have the babies, keep them raw. Keep them raw, because you can control this. And you're developing in their consciousness and changing that old consciousness out of the cells, because that old consciousness is filtering right down through the family chain, and that includes cooked foods. So that whole consciousness, where everything's involved in that's coming through to the cell. So the cells are going to uplift, they're going to change, they're going to expand their awareness as you are yours. And it's just a whole process of life awakening to who it really is. And you're helping yourselves to awaken to that consciousness. And it's just that process. And so you do the very best you can, This isn't the reality of life. It's only where you're playing right now. Let me see, I got about 10 more minutes here. But I want you, if I don't touch on any of your questions, I want you to please resubmit them. Because I've got so many stacks, I don't know where to begin. And so, please, resubmit your questions here for me, and I'll do my best to get ahead of them this time. I know we've got a lot of eyes to go over. I need Drew to help me do that. Oh, Starfish Ultra. That's cute. Can you do a whole video about why protein foods are bad? Yeah, maybe I'll do a whole video. I mean, on the website, I think I have the protein myths. I have it in my books. I know a lot of people have written books on it, and there's books back in the 1800s, some really good books on it. Tilden, I think, had a lot of on the protein myths. Carrington, all these guys. There's a ton of books. Matter of fact, Meat Eating, a Case for Disease. Here's one of them right here from the past. I'm going to tell you, these old greats, a lot of them were medical doctors. They tore it up. They tore it up. They really looked at the chemistry, the ashes, the physics, the consciousness, everything, guys. And that's exciting. Our field is exciting. And I want to invite all medical doctors to come to our field and jump in. It's exciting. It's refreshing. You'll get hugs and kisses from your clients instead of cussing, because you're actually doing what your heart wants to do if you have that in your heart. If you're just for money, but if you're for the heart and the love of people, then you've got to learn this level of thinking and dump these pharmaceuticals. Only use them when you need them. So I think I've covered why protein foods are bad. Pretty much. I don't want to beat a dead horse. but I will. I'll do a whole video on proteins. It doesn't matter whether it's bean, nut, or dead animals. I'm not against occasional protein consumption, although remember your body has to go and break it all back down to amino acids before you can use it. But it's hard not to in our state to have some of these things. There's no question about it. If you're looking at it as a form of health, though, I think you're misguided. Protein is the acid side of chemistry and not the health building side. Your fruits and your berries or the melons, there's your health building side. Matter of fact, most vertebrates consume the vegetable kingdom and the fruit and berry kingdom. Would you recommend the use of gravel root tea? Absolutely. I'd use gravel root in a lot of my kidney formulas. The kidney stones and things like this. And I also thought maybe gravel root might also be good for tumors because it breaks up hardened masses. So I thought, that might be good for that. That's why when you look at all these herbs you're on, when you're on these protocols, you're on some good herbs. And some herbs that really clean the body really well and the kidneys and things that break up hardened things. But to tell you the truth, I don't rely on herbs to break up calcifications, to be honest with you. Now, maybe it's possible. And that's what gravel root's famous for. But I have to say that rehydration, alkalization, does dissolve these ionic calcium stones. Oh man, I kind of marked this. I don't know if I've had this before. This is from Jocelyn and Sweetheart. I hope she lives in Hawaii. Yes.
We're being summoned.
Okay. I'm being summoned. All right. Did this just go off? Can you see that? Is it still recording? Can you still see me in there?
Yeah, I can see you.
Perfect. Does it say record on it?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Solid.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm being summoned. Ooh. That always is scary. I got a lot of summons in the past from the IRS. The problem is I think it was one of the circuit courts, the We the People group had filed a lawsuit, and the circuit court initially said these IRS summons are just administrative summons, which they are. They don't have any law enforcement behind them. This is a collection agency. And, of course, I think they reversed their decision after the IRS pulled them in private chambers. But you saw what the court initially said. Anyway, this is Jocelyn, and let me see. After 5 months of being completely raw, taking your herbs and your advice, not only was I, let me see here. Did I cover this already? Yeah, I did. That's that negative thing. Yeesh. I already covered that. Organic Superman, I haven't talked to you in a long time, my friend. You were asking about my thoughts on colloidal silver. I think I already addressed some of these. That's why I want you to resubmit these, because some of these I think got all mixed up. This is a 59-year-old male. I suffer piles, sometimes red blood with stools clear with no black spots. Can you cure me without surgery? Can surgery be performed on spinal anesthesia? Well, I don't know about that one. Lower spinal tap. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I'll say this though. Use take the Heal tea and put a little of the prolapsed organs in it. And then brew it up and get it skin temperature and insert it. Maybe, clean your bowels out a little bit that way, like an enema, just a little bit, but then just insert it up a little bit and hold it there. And let that tea absorb into that. I'm trying to have suppositories made. It's hard for me to have things made I want. But I'm trying to get suppositories where you can put a suppository up in there and you can use them rectally or vaginally, and that would help to get these herbs dispersed on the wall there. So that's what I would do. We do have some salves. You want to look for a comfrey, golden seal, calendula salve. Anything like that. I think even aloe tightens, very astringent. You might try some aloe vera on that. I've never tried that. I just went total raw and all mine went away. Came out like a banshee first. But lower circulation is another good formula because you're dealing in integrity of the vascular wall. And also while we're talking about this, my friend, I want you to think about your parathyroid gland because this is a connective tissue weakness, and I want you to think about that. So look about what we talk about the parathyroid gland. Look around your body and see if you have other signs. And even if you don't, it might not hurt to do 1 bottle of parathyroid, adding a bottle of kelp with that. Supplement 1 bottle of kelp with a bottle of parathyroid glandular. Parathyroid glandular, 1-3 times a day. Kelp, 2-3 times a day. That'll give you the iodine and the calcium for the thyroids and the parathyroids, and then you'll get your parathyroid turned on, and that'll help to then strengthen connective tissue. At the same time, guys, you got to remember, in your vascular walls, you have cells and you have blood and lymph. So you have to detoxify your lymph system. What makes you break down your vascular walls? Whether it's piles, whether it's in your rectal wall, or whether it's anywhere else, acids. Going right back to the same thing again, same systems, and you just have to clean those systems. At the same time, you're detoxifying yourself. You want to strengthen that wall. Lower circulation strengthens, parathyroid with kelp strengthens, insert a little Hilal tea with maybe a little prolapsed organ formula, and get that up in there, just not very far, and let that soothe, because you want to heal all this. And you don't want to end up with a rectal tumor or anything either. So go that way, my friend, and you should do good. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Appreciate the question too, my friend, because a lot of people suffer from that, and very common. You want to take care of this. Matter of fact, because this could be representative throughout your vascular system, so you want to strengthen all your connective tissue all over the body. So it'll be a good thing for you. And this is NYT Fox 1107. You said science has proven that the fat we eat is the fat we store. What science? Did I say that? Did I say? I've never ever in my life said that proven. Science has proven that the fat we eat is the fat we store. I don't know about that. What science? Is it not true? Any reference? I don't know what you're talking about, man. I really don't know what you're saying, because fat has to be broken down to fatty acids. It can be stored as glycogen. But I referenced the absorption at one time. I don't know whether you're talking about this. The reference of absorption of fat in through the small little lymph villi, and then taken to, well, according to the medical profession, all your fat that you absorb is supposed to be taken through your lymph system up into your inferior vena cava. I mean, I was just reading a medical dictionary a couple days ago, and that's what they were claiming in a medical dictionary. And it's like, what? So I don't know, I mean, there's just so much crap out there, so much stupidity out there. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to answer your question, dude. I really don't. I don't know what to say about that. I just have. It's difficult if you're going to hold on to science all the time. I'm very science-minded. I love science. I mean, it's just a fun game. That just have to be careful with theories over actualities, because if you believe in a theory and it's wrong, you just wasted a lot of your time and maybe a lot of battles, intellectual battles, that you really lost. I just, unless I have an experience with it, I'm just not sure I'm going to tackle anything. So everything I talk to you about, it's what I've experienced or seen, or what I think spiritually, my experiences spiritually. I try not to give you theories. I just don't like theories. There's things I don't understand about how the body works, as is a lot of A&P professors. So don't think that everybody knows everything out there, because you'd be mistaken. It is not true. We're not mature in the human species. We might have TVs this big, but we're still using chemotherapy. We still have wars. What's that? Hi, Dr. Morse. I have learned so much. Oh, thanks. Thanks. This is BROMOMMCK. I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce some of your names, though, but I love you anyway. I have ordered the first weeks. Oh, this probably goes back some time. I've had these sitting here, just haven't had time to get to them, so I apologize that these are all late here. I keep checking my stools for worms, but I haven't spotted anything as of yet. Yeah, if you go on the first 2-week kit and you don't see any worms, good chance you don't have any. If you do see worms, I think I'd revisit the kit. I would stay on it until you don't see any worms anymore, and in about a month to 2 months later, I'd revisit. And just because you want to get rid of the eggs and everything else, because let me tell you, we've seen sacks of eggs come out of people. We've seen all kinds of things. Whether people believe it or not, you just can't believe there's another side of life out there that's not real refreshing. And so I'm going to have to cut this off with that said. But Samantha, you have fun. Thank you so much, dear. I have dogs and cats, and I remember reading that if you have any animals, then you probably have worms of some sort. Maybe, and maybe not. I mean, people make that claim. But deworm yourself always once in a while, and deworm your animals too. So anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, taking your precious time out of the day and learning and growing. This planet needs you, and it needs your higher level of thinking, your higher awareness. It needs your compassion. It needs your love and humility. If you don't see it, you don't develop it. And so we need to show that, because we're the God people, and you don't need anything. You're a God person. You have everything you could possibly need. Here, we need shelter, maybe some transportation, some food. But remember, your sukha is far, far away, and yet it's right here with you now. Bye. Namaste. Love you, Baraka Bashad, and have a wonderful day.